It's around 6,000 years ago that ancient Sumer first appears. Today, there are older records of human societies. However, the argument for Sumer is based on the in-depth records of their society. To trace the birthplace of civilization, we need to identify the traits of civilized society. Sumer's case can be argued upon location, established between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in the ancient region of Mesopotamia. Sumer qualifies according to many written recording as the birthplace of modern society. Agriculture. In the fertile present, the first signs of crop growing and animal husbandry appear. Written language is almost as important as spoken word. Every civilization on the planet has their own adaptation of writing, which is a crucial aspect of teaching, learning, sharing ideas, as well as keeping historical records. Today, there are still surviving records from Sumeria. These include the first book, the history of Noah and the Great Flood, the first science times, measurement, minute, and hour time, and government. Without writing, much of what we know about the world would be lost. Over 5,000 years ago, ancient Sumeria, the oldest civilization on Earth, leaves some of the oldest records on the planet. Who were the Sumerians? Sumer was located in modern-day Iraq and Kuwait. It was the southernmost region of ancient Mesopotamia, which was once the largest and most populated region on Earth. The earliest records of Sumerian provide a murky picture of their origin. It's a period between 6,500 BC and 3,800 BC. The first inhabitants of what would eventually become Sumer are known as the Ubaid people. Evidence shows that the Ubaid were farmers and had many settlements that were stable and prosperous. New evidence suggests these isolated farming communities started between the Caspian Sea, the Hindu Kush, and the Khupet Mountains in Turkmenistan. The migration to Sumer initially may have begun due to a persistent drought that eventually forced them to abandon their home. Whatever the cause, they migrated and settled in the fertile southern lands of modern-day Iraq. By 4000 BC, the people known as the Sumerians were in control of the region. Sumer itself was made up of groups of walled city-states with small villages built around them. Each of these cities usually followed the same basic layout, with a walled metropolis containing a ziggurat at the center. Uruk, thought to be the first city, was one of many that made up Sumer, including Nippur, Ur, Kish, and Lagash. As many as 12 of these cities were in existence at 3000 BC. Some were large enough to house 80,000 or more people. To date, there are 18 excavated Sumerian cities in total. They are all concentrated on and around the branches and canals of the Euphrates River. Sumer was a continuous civilization for a few thousand years until about 2000 BC. Around this time, it was invaded and eventually absorbed into other Mesopotamian civilizations. Until this point, it was a distinct and separate nation. One of the most fascinating points is that it first appeared with language, technology, and writing systems in full form. Although we know much about the first civilization on Earth, there are many puzzling facts about Sumer we may never fully appreciate. It is thanks to these people that written language exists and is used all over the planet. 3 periods of Sumerian civilization. Ubaid period 6500 to 4100 BC. Uruk period 4100 to 2900 BC. Early dynastic period 2900 to 2334 BC. 5 major cities of ancient Sumer. Records and archaeological evidence have found descriptions of Sumerian cities. The major ones and the modern localities are Uruk, an ancient city of Sumer, situated east of the present bed of the Euphrates River. Kish, considered to have been located near the modern Tel al-Ohaimarin, the Babel governorate of Iraq. Ur was once a coastal city near the mouth of the Euphrates of the Persian Gulf. The coastline have shifted and the city is now well inland on the south bank of the Euphrates. Nippur was located in modern Nifar in Afaq, Al-Faliji in Iraq, Lagash, located northwest of the junction of the Euphrates and Tigris River. What did the Sumerians contribute? The Sumerians provide the world's first evidence of civilized culture practice. These include pottery, animal agriculture, architecture and buildings, carpentry, weaving, fermentation and beer making, mathematics and astronomy. With clay being an abundant supply, Sumerian pottery is one of the first to be found in the archaeological record. The Sumerians also had many ornaments-made clay pots and built stone images. The ziggurat was the name of the Sumerian temple. A remnant of a clay cuneiform tablet records the first civilization on Earth. The writing system used by the Sumerians is known as the cuneiform. This means wedge-shaped. In Latin, it is a system of writing made up of vertical and horizontal lines etched into clay. The first appearance of this written language is the archaeological record is dated to somewhere around 3500 BC. They were deciphered in the 19th century. The dating of the clay tablet is subject to contention, with some arguing the origins run much deeper into history. What seems to have been developed primarily for trade purposes in Sumer quickly spread throughout the world. Initially, Sumer's written language appears to have been used in mundane tasks such as stock-taking and trade information. Despite the most detailed recorded events, critical historical periods may be lost to history. In the early period of Sumerian civilization, there was no written language to make records and note historical events. What religion did the Sumerian practice? Sumerian religion provides interesting parallels to modern beliefs. After cuneiform was invented and in use throughout Mesopotamia, the Sumerians began writing down accounts and keeping lists of their kings and rulers. Some of them still resonate through religious texts today. Only translated very recently, it was only a few hundred years ago that I deciphered the oldest stories of Sumer. This translation marked a key step in the understanding of civilized human history. As more clay tablets were translated, it became clear that it was the Sumerians who were responsible for first writing them. Many stories in the Bible were thought not only to be oldest but also the first written stories until cuneiform was disappeared. The most famous of these is the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the earliest known version of the biblical flood story. The Enuma Elish draws similarities for the Garden of Eden story in the Bible. Some historians claim it was inspired the Sumerian account. There is also the first documented story of a god dying and coming back from the dead in the Sumerian poem, The Descent of Inanna. It draws parallels to the Gospel of the New Testament. The Sumerian ancient astronomy. A clay disc with an ancient Sumerian star map, Sumerian records provide a glimpse of an ancient astronomy capabilities. Today, most records of their knowledge are lost, leaving a few tantalizing fragments of understanding of the universe. When compared to later Babylonian astronomy standards, they appear quite basic. Babylonian clay tablets that have survived since the dawn of Mesopotamian civilization record the earliest total solar eclipse seen in Ugarit on May 3, 1375 BC. Most understanding of their contribution to ancient astronomy is by indirect transmission to the Babylonian culture. Early Babylonian records used Sumerian names for stars, suggesting that a body of knowledge was passed down. Ancient Sumer was the foundation of ancient Mesopotamia. Today, the remnants of Sumerian culture resonate through farming, writing, and religious practices. As the old civilization until there is further records of pre-Sumerian cultures, Sumer leads as the candidate for the foundation of modern society. Now, it's up to you. What do you think is most remarkable about Sumer's contribution to our society? Were they the first civilization?